I recently released a video talking about the new MX Logic Creative Console. Today, we're going to be looking at macro pads and other creative consoles just so you can get a feel for how powerful the MX Creative Console really is. And the best part of all is I'm not sponsored. I bought all of this tech myself, so I have no skin in the game. Let's dive in. All right, so starting out, the first thing we're going to do is look at this. This right here is the Loopdeck Plus. Now, when it first came out, it was all that people was talking about. I picked it up. It really didn't work for me, but if you use Premiere Pro or Photoshop or something like that for color grading, then this works great for you. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I tried to get this to work for me in DaVinci Resolve and I could not get it to work. So I honestly don't use this. It sits on my shelf and collect dust. But since this is considered a creative console that helps you boost your productivity, I wanted to add it in just in case you come across it. But it's not something that I would honestly recommend as I do not use it myself. The next one I want to talk about is the speed editor. Now, I know a lot of people swear by the speed editor. The speed editor is another creative console. Now, here's my problem with the speed editor. The speed editor, you can only use it in the cut page. A lot of the functionality for the speed editor gets removed once you leave the cut page, and I don't like that. More importantly, I don't like that these buttons aren't macro keys. Macro keys allow me to make these buttons be whatever I want it to be. So for example, if I wanted cam 1 button to be cam 3 and I wanted cam 1, cam 2, cam 3 because that's how my fingers are used to it, I can't do that on here. What you see is what I get, and I'm not a big fan of that. Now, on my main setup, if I'm sitting at my desk, this is what I use. This does not leave my desk. At one point, I was putting this in my bag, traveling around with it, but honestly, it's big, it's heavy, it's bulky. I don't like it for traveling. But until I found what I currently use now, I was using this and it worked just fine. But again, it does take some space up in your bag, as you can see. This is beefy. It's not small at all. It takes USB-C. Now, the bonus to this is Bluetooth, meaning that you can connect this via Bluetooth and you charge it via USB-C. It's a built-in battery. So I really like that about it. This stays on my desk and this is what I use to edit with. Now, the first thing that introduced me to the power of macro keys is this right here, which is by Elgato. This is the Stream Deck. Now, the cool thing about macro buttons is you don't just have to use them for creative outlets, meaning, yes, I use this for editing for a long time, but I can also use this inside of any application I want. So I can have it set up to where when an application open, these buttons dynamically change to that application. I can also have it when ain't no application open. I can have it set up for my system shortcuts. I can fire off, shortcuts from here if I wanted to. This right here, honestly, I keep in my book bag. I have a 32 key button over there on my desk. I didn't really think I needed to grab it because it's overkill, but this stays in my book bag at all time because honestly, it's really good. What this lacks is a knob. And as a result, that's the reason why I picked up this right here. This right here is the Shuttle Pro 2. Now, all of these, the way it's set up is when I'm editing, I like for my fingers to be able to control my timeline. And this kind of got me spoiled because if I hold this knob, as you can see when I turn this knob, if I hold it like this, it's going to just go, it's going to scrub through my timeline. And when I release it, it's going to stop wherever I stopped it at. And then I can make cuts or whatever I want to do using my macro pad. Now, these buttons up here for me, I use these buttons to cut from camera to camera, and I use this to switch from camera to camera. So either I'm cutting to a camera or I'm switching to a camera. I chuck this in my book bag all the time. This goes with me everywhere. The only downside to this is you can see it's taking a little bit of a beating. You can see one of my plastics are missing from right here. But other than that, the only downside I don't like about this is it's not Bluetooth. As you can see, it got this ugly cable. The downside is the cable is USB-A, so I keep a adapter on it to convert it to USB-C because my MacBook Pro is USB-C. So other than that, I don't have anything bad to say about this. Now, at first, I was going to complain about the software, but honestly, you take maybe 5-10 minutes to get used to the software, and then it's good to go. I'll link up a video where I show you how to use this down below, just so you can get a better understanding of it. All right. The next one, which I use all the time, is this right here. This is a controller. It's the TourBox Elite. And usually these two are my combos. I never, ever, ever touch my keyboard when I'm editing video because of these two. Now, the upside to this is I have dials, I have other dials, I have knobs, I have buttons, and it's easy for me to make these cuts and all that other cool stuff. The downside to this is it's not like these are macro keys, but because they don't have that physical screen on it, I can't see, like I can't remember what these are if I wanted to set them up to do something other than DaVinci Resolve. So currently right now, I'm only using this controller inside of DaVinci Resolve. You can use it inside of Photoshop and all those other tools, but mainly I do a lot of video editing, so that's what I use it for. Now, the upside to this is it's Bluetooth, so I don't have to worry about connecting a cable to it, and that's mainly what I love. Now, this right here does take batteries. That's one of the bummers of it, but depending upon how you feel about that, it does take batteries. This is the TourBox Elite. I know they do have just a TourBox, and the Elite just means it's Bluetooth. So if you get a TourBox that don't say Elite, it has the same functionality, same software, same everything. And the cool thing about it is these buttons double to do extra stuff. So if I wanted to push this down and then press the up key, it would do something totally different as if I was using my keyboard. Now, for me personally, I haven't used it to that extent because I feel like at that point, it's probably just easier for me to use my keyboard because muscle memory gonna take too long for me to memorize all of it. So I keep this very, very simple, but hey, you can make it as complex as you want to. That brings us to this right here, which is the MX Creative Console macro pad. Now, the reason why I thoroughly enjoy this so much is because it gives me the 6 buttons. These buttons don't feel as good or as comfortable as Logitech's buttons, not Logitech's, but Elgato buttons. Like with Elgato Stream Deck, I'm just used to pushing the buttons. These do feel slightly different, but honestly, it's so negligible to the point where you probably wouldn't even be able to tell the difference if you held them both in your hands and pushed them. Now, what I don't like about this is these 2 buttons down here. I wish that I would have had more buttons to be able to switch through. Like on here, I don't have any buttons to go back and forth. I can set folders and things like that. And while you can set folders on this one as well, you also only get these 9 buttons, and then you gotta scrub through using these pages. So these is like your forward and backwards pages. I'm not a big fan of that, but I'm okay with it, mainly because it comes with this knob. Now, I can't tell you how much of a frustration it was to have this right here, this Stream Deck that's super cool using this, but still had to use my MX mouse to do things. And don't get me wrong, the MX mouse, the MX Master 3, which is what I have. Well, at the time I had the 2, but now I got the 3. Well, it's a great mouse. Like it even have macro keys that you can customize and have it cut and ripple delete and things like that. And I used it for that, but it's so much faster when you could just use a knob to scrub your timeline. Now, again, like I said in the original unboxing, the downside to this is I would like to see this notch. So if you look on these, you see these notches right here. It might be something, it might look super simple, but I'm telling you, it makes a big difference because this right here, you can just go real fast. With this right here, you have to be careful with your hand sliding off the thing, off the button end. Sometimes I feel like for precise, I need to grab it and turn it like this. So it does play a factor in it, but the fact that it comes with a knob and the fact that this right here is Bluetooth is amazing. So the way I have mine customized is all 4 of these switch to cameras, and I'll link up the video for you below so you can see how I set it up. But all 4 of these switch off to cameras. This right here switch to zoom in and out of my timeline, and this right here scrubs my timeline. And I use this right here to just do all my cutting stuff, and on the next page I have that also set up to like switch cameras and things like that. So ultimately, at the end of the day, if you told me I can only keep only one of these can go on my back For a very long time, this was my combo for a very long time. Originally, my combo was this and my MX Master Mouse 2, but I've since stopped using this for editing and I switched over to these two. Now, the reason why I switched over to these two is because I really wanted to focus in on DaVinci Resolve and editing as quick as I can. So this was my combo for a long time. This is heavy, so this sits on my desk now, and these two right here are my combo when I'm at the desk. So if I'm at home and I'm doing a big project and I'm editing, these are the two I'm reaching for. If I'm on the go, then these are the two I'm reaching for. If I'm using my Surface Pro 11, I'm editing using these two. It's fantastic. If I'm using my Mac, then I'm reaching for these two. The reason why is because honestly, the Stream Deck is already set up. It works flawlessly. This is already set up on my Mac, and to connect this and set this up for Logitech to be on my Mac is just honestly it's not worth the hassle of me setting it up, if I'm being completely honest with you. So the best part about it is these three stay in my bag at all time. And what I really like is, while this isn't Bluetooth, this takes USB-C. So I don't have to worry about having an adapter or anything like that on it. As you can see, the USB-C go right there. I'm able to sit it down. I will admit that my hands are much bigger. So if we take a look at it, this is how it will show up when I'm editing. And I will have my laptop up on the roost, so it's sitting up at eye level, and I'm editing like this. Now, if you look at it, you can see that my hands naturally want to be here, but sometimes it slips off because that's what I'm used to. So then I'll have to grab it like this, and by these being just 3 buttons, this works. I wish it was at least 4 to cover all 4 of my hands, so I can never really have to move them, but it's 3, that's what we got. I'm not complaining. Now, with this one right here, I could put my hands naturally sit comfortably on here. And I thought about making this my combo right here. But the problem is I really like this with the Surface Pro 11. So if I'm editing with the Surface Pro 11, this right here is my go-to combo. This right here, I have it set up with my Surface Pro 11 to do some pretty cool stuff. Even if I'm not editing, I have system shortcuts on here, apps open, all that cool stuff. I really, really like this a lot. Now, if I wasn't in the Windows ecosystem, would I grab this? Honestly, I probably wouldn't, only because, well, I would for this knob, if I'm being honest. I would for this knob because I would want something that's more compact, so I would at least give it a try. But after having it now and playing with it, honestly, I believe the best combo if you're going to edit on a Mac is these two right here. Your Stream Deck, because you're going to get more buttons. It's the 15 key. And this right here, because you can cut. And I don't have to tab through pages to get to the other things that I want. As you can see, there's 6 keys compared to 15 keys. So for my Surface Pro 11, this is my combo and I love it. But if I could only pick 2, that really would depend upon, or if I can only pick 1, then I would go with the MX Creative Console because it comes with a knob and I don't have to go out and spend an additional money for that knob. And I can't overstate the value of having a knob is. I mean, if you're an editor, then you know, like it gets really tedious when you're trying to move fast and you're using your mouse versus having a knob where you can just turn it. It makes a world of difference. Now, on the flip side of that coin, if you're using the iPad, if you're using the iPad or M4 or M1 or any type of iPad and you're using DaVinci Resolve, then I would say you probably should ditch all of these because none of these is going to work on your iPad. You're probably going to want the Speed Editor, mainly because the Speed Editor works on the iPad as Bluetooth. It works without you downloading any third-party software or anything like that. And this is the benefit to having a Speed Editor if you want to use your iPad for editing. If you want to use your iPad for editing, then the Speed Editor is the way to go. It's a non-starter, if I'm being honest with you, because there's nothing better on the market than the Speed Editor when it comes to DaVinci Resolve. While I personally believe that the Stream Deck and even the TourBox Elite, I kind of like the TourBox Elite better than I like the DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor, but the Speed Editor does not You don't have to download any software. It just works out the blocks once it connects to Bluetooth. And the rest of this stuff, all these right here, you have to download some piece of software to make it work. And that right there is the downside to using macro pads or creative consoles or anything like that, because you have to download that third-party software in order to make it work. And even with the TourBox Elite, this software actually has to be running in the background for it to work. They take it a step further. With the Stream Deck, once you set it up, it's set up. It don't have to run in the background. With the Logi MX Creative Console, same thing. Once it's set up, it's set up. It doesn't have to be running in the background. Same thing with the Contour Shuttle Pro. Once it's set up, it's set up. It doesn't have to run in the background, but the TourBox, it does. So I know I just threw a lot of information at you. If I had to pick, and I can only pick one thing, as I stated earlier, I'm gonna have to roll with the MX Creative Console, because while this isn't the best macro pad or the best knob, it is the best combo without me having to spend extra money. And moreover, they both come together, so I don't have to, go out and buy an extra knob. Everything comes together. I mean, I searched on YouTube for a very long time. When I first started using this right here, this macro pad, or even the TourBox Elite macro pad, when I first started using these, I looked high and low for something in this form factor, something with just a dial, mainly a dial and just a few buttons, and I couldn't find none. The closest I found to it was the Shuttle Pro. And honestly, if they did an update to the Shuttle Pro and they just removed this cable and made it Bluetooth, I'm telling you, they would have a banger on their hand. And it would compete with all of these, because I've used the Shuttle Pro so long that now if it's not automatically scrolling and I'm not just holding my hand there being lazy, then I kind of feel like I'm working too hard. I feel like it's not as efficient as it could be. And that's because the Shuttle Pro got me spoiled. So again, these are the two that I would pick if I had to pick two, and not this is what I was stuck with. I would pick these two. I wouldn't pick the DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor unless I was on an iOS device, because if I'm on an iOS device, I'm gonna pick that because, well, I can't download any software on my iPad, but this works on my iPad out the box, so this would be the best way to go. All this other stuff are nice to have. I like my Stream Deck Elgato, but again, if I could only pick one, I'm gonna buy this combo right here because I feel like it's the best bang for buck, and it removes the mouse from my hand, which is most important to me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. You'll find the links below to the videos I talked about. And honestly, if you like this video, I think you should watch this one next. Till next time, later.